there was a massacre in Minnesota of some white people. There was also a big massacre in southern Utah, which there was a lot of controversy about. The Mormons get the Indians, you know, to
They kind of
attack
worked the
the
Mormons
slave
over
trade.
before they went to Utah too.
Kind of give them a hard way to go.
You know, the Mormons defeated the United States Army in
Butter beans.
in 1858, and the federal government was organizing another big military venture into Utah to wipe out the Mormons when the Civil War broke out. When Lincoln was elected, the Civil War broke out. So it had to wait, and there never was another military excursion to wipe out the Mormons. So the Mormons, like the Seminole Indians of Florida, defeated the United States in warfare.
Well, them Seminoles, all they had to do is pull back and let the Rattlers and the Cottonmouths take care of business.
Hey! We're on the rodeo.
Well, everything, hey, folks.
Who are we, Bob?
Who are we? Well, I am me, and you are you, and never the twain shall meet.
Well, we got good sound today. I
The
can hear
Wild
it.
Bob and Ronnie show come to you from WLAF here in Lafayette, Tennessee, and over the internet on the UGTV.tv. And we're pleased to have you here. I'm Bob Andrews, soon to be an old man with a birthday coming up here shortly. But right now I'm still in my second childhood. And Ronnie Sharp over here, and Ronnie won't admit that he's really older than I am.
Are you an octogenarian yet?
But I'm really holding up better than he is, ain't I?
Almost.
They got a big miles on
I
you.
got more hair than you got.
We're particularly glad to have Jerry Kidd with us today.
Well, it's kind of bothered me.
I hope I feel the same way when the show's over. And, all right.
Are you getting any complaints,
All
Bob?
right, no, we're all doing good.
Ain't nobody listen to this show.
You know, we may have a visitor here. Fred Cole said he was gonna come up, and said he didn't close till 3 at where he worked. And you know, Fred has made a start in revitalization of himself
Is that a word?
since he's gone to work.
Is that a word?
Uh,
Revitalization, is
Yeah,
that a word?
that's what I just
That's
coined.
something like a difficulty?
That's what I just coined.
I have to tell you this, but the 4 people sitting at this table in front of these microphones are survivors of Richard Nixon's enemies list. They were right on there with Martin Luther King, the guy that
I just mentioned in the fine print.
the guy that gave us the Vietnam Papers and
You mean Pentagon?
Pentagon Papers
What's that
and
guy's name? Ellsberg?
Daniel Ellsberg.
Yeah.
And right there with Joe Namath, the only athlete
If we
that ever made Richard Nixon's enemies list. But you got 4 people right here that were in big type on Richard Nixon's enemies
If
list
we got,
and survived it.
Right.
if we've got company coming, let me do this first, then we'll do another later.
Now, maybe,
We're gonna talk to Digger here, we're gonna see,
you know,
where's Digger?
he's learning that work and profit.
On Bitter Wilson.
Right, hey,
Been here off and on for over 30 years in the same spot. Pumping propane, doing repairs on containers, heaters. I'm the only one in the county that'll do you a repair on your tanks if you need it. I sell propane gas, liquid propane, and I've got plenty of competitors, and I can easily compete with them. That's grills, backup heat, substitute heat, grills, campers, motor homes, you name it. And if it comes in to that door, I can take care of it. I'm here Tuesday through Friday, 8 till 5, and Saturday, 8 till 12. They could call me at 562-54.
4-4.
5444,
Yeah.
5441, 5444, right in the middle of the road in Sawmill Holler.
Thank you, Digger. You know, Digger was absolutely right when he said he'd been, there for nearly 30 years off and on. And I asked him the other day, I said, Digger, are you ever gonna leave here? He said, you know, says, X-Lax couldn't make me move.
Well, I've got a couple things to say. First off, we're so, undependable, and I was tearing down the spider web here, and these guys thought I was trying to turn the telephone on. The other thing is, I've got two kind of serious things to say. The candy lady, Miss Barbara Schuyler, who made us candy and pumpkin rolls and stuff, passed away
so
on
good. Fine lady.
passed away on May 13th, and I didn't find out till 2 days ago, and we do miss her, and we're sorry to hear that. Her family, I hope you understand that we didn't know anything about it, and Miss Barbara was a fine lady. And we lost another citizen of the city and county, one of the original founders of WLAF, my understanding is Mr. Ed Bailey passed away this morning. He was a pretty good fellow too. He's 94 years old, but he deserved another 94 years. And that's all I've got to say. These fellas can carry on now.
Oh, if you wanna call in out there, folks, 562-3557 or 566-1450.
Right, that's,
And speak to the famous Bob and Ron,
right there, you guys give us.
who have been nominated for Pulitzer Prize in the visual and media news arena.
Yeah, and we also both got degrees from the University of Western Australia. Dr. Robert, Dr. Bobby Talmadge Andrews and
You
Dr.
know,
Ronald Sharp.
James
I thought
J.
Mr.
Cameron.
Hanson had a doctorate degree
He
from
does.
Western Australia.
He's got one more, yours in. I know you got one, but I've one printed it off.
It's philosophy,
Philosophy.
Agronomy.
and it's worth exactly what I paid for it.
Yeah, I know, that's the same way in buying Bob's. Of course, I did have the price of paper
Yeah,
in mine.
ours was.
Is it true, Mr. Hanson, that you were a nominee for Nobel Peace Prize the year Yasser Arafat won it?
When you put the word true in front of something, you change the whole meaning of it. And you can't hardly answer some things when it's asked in that manner.
Yasser Arafat, he was that goat lover, wasn't he?
Yeah. Hey, I have to say, folks, that,
I like goats too. Bob's goats got him in jail.
my desire to be well informed about Campbell County and the city of La Follette government is in terrible conflict, direct conflict with my desire to remain sane. So please bear with us on this when we make comments about Campbell County government.
You know, they're always looking for the magic bullet to solve our economic problems here. You know, we've got the skating rink on the agenda.
Well, at least they tried, you know.
No, well, I understand that. They got the skating rink on the agenda, but they also have today, they had the farmer's market down there.
They're trying.
Which I believe there was, again, 2 people.
2 vendors.
Right,
They had 1 vendor the first day. Week later, they had 2 vendors, and today you're saying they had 2 vendors.
right.
What I want to know is how many customers the vendors had. Now, that would be indicative of whether this could be a success or not. If they're getting a whole lot of customers, you're going to end up with a whole lot of vendors. But if there's only 1 or 2 vendors, obviously they're not getting any customers.
Right. Now, what I was pointing out was the farmer's market, you know, they see other places that have farmers markets that are tremendously successful. Namely, I've been to the one in Knoxville on Market Square, where they have all of this fancy produce and everything, where you go buy one mess of turnip greens costs you $7 or $8, you know. Well, I don't think anybody here in Campbell County is going gonna pay $7, $8.
Well, nobody in Campbell County is dumb enough to pay $7.
Well, that's why I'm thinking about it going to, because they're not that dumb.
Unless it comes through the city council or the county
The
commission,
city council
then
might.
they'll pay 10 times
We
what
don't
they're
have
worth.
enough commissioners and councilmen to support farmers market.
The city council would consider buying a serving of that type of greens for everybody in the city, you know, at $7, $8 a meal.
You know what's amazing is how detrimental our local government is to private business and private enterprise. Give you an example in here. We got a man that owns a local business that wants to expand his business. And he wants to build on to the existing building. And the planning board and the city council and the mayor, Mike Stanfield, is giving him a hard time over it. And Mike Stanfield had the audacity to ask the man, why do you want to expand your building? And before he could answer, his wife spoke up and said, well, we want to sell drugs in one end of the building, we want to have prostitution in the other end, then we'll be just like City Hall. Now, I could not find out what Mike Stanfield's reaction was or response to this
Let me
statement.
ask you a question. We're talking about Ronnie Inman up here, and he bought the property, he paid for it, he works for a living, he's trying to earn a living, he's one of the few businesses that are left in La Follette. But my question is, why did they deny him a permit?
Good question. And he had been permitting the senior center to park on his property for years and years. He was a good citizen
My
and a
question
good
is, my
businessman.
question is, did they not refer this to maybe a flooding problem or something?
And is it Mike Stanfield's business what he does with his expansion?
I want to know, did they tell him that it might be prone to flooding or something?
They said TVA owned the runoff rights to his property, and that they would have to consult with TVA.
But is he not trying to expand on a higher level than his present building so there wouldn't actually be a flooding problem?
Now my question is, good question there. Your question made me forget my question.
Well, you reckon it'd run off?
I was trying to think of an answer and another
You
question.
reckon it would run
It's the
off
same
any
as
faster there than it does out at Money Hole Park where the sand's running in the lake, our $5,000 worth of sand?
$5,000 worth of sand is washing out into the water.
You know, they still have this misguided idea that all up and down Jacksboro Pike is supposed to be a scenic thoroughfare. I mean, they cannot get over the fact, or they will not recognize the fact, that there's a railroad track runs right down along it. It's not going to ever exactly be scenic. So probably Roy's type business is not what they want to encourage on the 4-lane highway.
I think they ought to level everything downtown La Follette and plant it in grass and it'd be pretty.
Well, yeah, probably what they have to do. There's even more businesses have been closed since I got the last count of 102. There's been several more businesses closed.
Fellas, whenever you talk about flooding, if that man wants to build a building, it's his business. If it floods, what if he wants to dig a hole and let it flood? What's it to anybody, as long as he's paying for it?
Well, because the government knows best and we gotta watch out, people ain't got enough sense to get out of the mud hole.
Well, I mean, if that's his business, he's
You
paying
don't
the bill.
understand, it used to be his business, now
Oh,
it
well,
belongs
that's right,
to the
belongs to the
community.
city of La Follette, that's what
Belongs
it
to
is.
the community, all for the common
Oh, yeah.
good.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll bet you, if you take an altimeter, go out there and check the altitude of where he's building, and you go down there at the traffic light on Tennessee Avenue, and my bet is that part is lower than where he
Now,
is.
you're gonna be wanting to turn the traffic light off next.
Well, yeah, it might get
What
water
kind
backed
of,
up
what
on it.
kind
Now,
of
you
sense
got-
does that make?
You guys may have heard that we paid $150,000 for a building in downtown La Follette. The city government, city council paid $150,000 for a building that a guy had just paid $90,000 for a couple of weeks before. Now, this building floods every time it rains. The drain off from Russell Towers and that street between Russell Towers and the old post office, and that area, water pours into the basement of that old post office building, which we paid $150,000
Well,
for.
that makes perfectly good sense, because there you've got the government rescuing some private citizen, because might walk down the basement and drown. Big government always takes care of us little people. I'm just thankful we've got big government.
But they'll pay $150,000 for a building that floods every time it rains. And anybody that's worked in the old post office building will tell you they had to walk around on pallets down there anytime it rained.
See how thoughtful they are? They're gonna keep some private citizen going down there and ended up
You wasn't gonna
flooding.
let 'em.
But the city will pay $150,000 for a building that floods, but they don't want a private business owner to expand his building because there might be a raindrop or two collect there. It's horrifying.
Wash all these transmissions away.
This is what's causing my conflict with sanity and government information.
Well, gentlemen, if you look at this thing and you follow it further back, the federal government is dead set on controlling every drop of water. And I guess as long as it's airborne, I don't know how they're doing it, but the EPA's are working on it right now. And we'll be told about it, probably about 600 pages of rules.
And
When it
it's
comes
all
down.
about power, and it ain't got a thing to do with the fact the EPA knows anything about water.
If this man's business or his building is flooding right now, whose business is his? And if he wants to build another building there, even if he wants to dig a hole 10 foot deep and let it flood, it ought to be his business if he's paying for it.
And if the city government can't keep water out of the basement of a building they pay $150,000 for, then how are they gonna control his private property and the water on his private property?
This goes back, reminds me of a great statement made by Cliff Jennings.
It reminds me of one made by his successor, who said, well, at least they tried.
Words of wisdom. We must be protected from ourselves. You know, I got a little book I carry around, and it's got all kinds of these dirty words in it. And every now and then I have to take it out and look me up one or two that matches the situation. And I don't know whether I've got the ones to match some of these situations.
Folks, the guy talking is Mr. R.L. Henson, who has a PhD in philosophy from Western Australia
When you go back to the
University.
door now, he's
And he
warming
made
up.
a statement, you know, I would rather see common sense than education, because education without common sense is totally useless. But Mr. Henson made the comment that we are having a hard time paying our bills. And we got people like David Young, William Beard, Mike Stanfield, Cliff Jennings, all these people running around wanting us to pay their bills. Now, another great philosopher sitting at this table made the comment that he drives a vehicle with a 1 in front of it. The model has a 1 in front of it, like 19XX. Well, then I thought, well, you know, I drive a model vehicle that was built last century. So here we are, 4 of us driving vehicles built a century ago, or last century. And our government employees want to drive something that's modern. They not only want us to pay for the gas in these vehicles, but they want something modern, where they can drive to Memphis and wreck the darn thing to see a girlfriend, but they want a late model
Graduate from drug school.
vehicle.
Wouldn't it have been terrible to hit that woman with an old car?
So we're having to pay our bills. We're having to struggle to pay our bills, and we have to pay their bills as well, and their car payments or cash for a vehicle that's a 2014 model.
That's nothing. They go over to Gatlinburg to a coal mining convention, which the two people involved here are using city credit cards. both of them had an interest in a coal mining operation and went over there on their own personal business and charged all the expenses to the city.
And look what it did to the coal industry in our county.
And will not
No
reimburse,
severance tax.
No more severance tax, no more coal industry.
they will not reimburse the city for what they spent. So, you know, I just don't know what, the solution is to a lot of this, but I will say this, we got an election coming up here, which involves, county commissioners and various officers within the state government, as well as, representative, elections for the, U.S. House of Representatives, and also some judgeships coming up. And, I was talking to a proponent of one of our mayoral candidates who is in favor of reinstituting 7 days a week convenience service at the dump sites. And I told him that, I said, this is one of the few things that I agree that the current government has done, is to just open up the convenience sites on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. I said, if you can't schedule your activities, carry your garbage off in 4 days a week, then you're in bad shape. He came up with this, he said, well, said it was not gonna cost anything to open it back up. I said,
Wait a minute now. Go ahead and say that again.
he said that it's not gonna cost anything to open it back up.
In other words, you can run them for, 3 extra days that don't cost
Oh, now,
anything?
wait a minute, I'm getting it. You know, the guy who said this is a
Okay.
candidate for mayor, and he has a degree in economics. Now, I'm gonna say this. I said, well, Timothy Geithner had a degree in economics. I said, and he could not fill out his own tax forms. He had to go to TurboTax, and then he blamed it on them for him being $25,000 short on what taxes he paid. I said, also, he is the one with an economic degree that has helped to engineer and bring about the $17 trillion deficit that we have now. It's not a deficit, but $17 trillion debt that we have. It's not a deficit, it's a debt. And I said, he has an economic degree. But let me tell you what the logic was about this. It says it's already in the budget to pay for. Says, says it's really not gonna cause any increase in taxes or anything.
Wait a minute. Does this guy, whoever he is,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if,
Could you tell
Well,
us
wait
who
a
this
second.
candidate is?
what this boils
I mean,
down
it's a
to,
public record of it.
what it
Who's
boils
running.
down to, what you're doing is if you put it in the budget, then where does he think the money comes from that's in the budget?
Oh, if you've got an economics degree, you know, you just print your money, you
You know,
don't worry
that's
about
like
that.
Timothy Geithner, you know, putting the $17 trillion in debt with a economic
Yeah, it's
degree.
like it's free money the EPA's giving us too. It didn't
Yeah.
come nowhere.
Yeah, there's $400,000.
No, it's free.
Huh?
Free.
Grant,
Free.
free money.
Free money.
Right. Go
Even
right.
if you have to match it, it's free.
I'm all for free money.
Right.
Do you have to go to college to get a degree to think like this?
Western Australia.
Yeah, Western
It's
Australia.
called
Okay.
propaganda. Our
I'm-
universities are supported by not only tuition, but large grants, tax dollars.
I'll tell you what, gentlemen, if we don't change the requirements for our leaders, and just because, and it's a proven fact that you can get a degree in about any field you want, if you want to pay the right
I'm gonna get
price.
gender studies
Yeah.
myself.
But if you just stop and think about it right now, we're being led by the best educated people in the world. Every one of them has got.
No. No, the highest degree people.
Well, that's,
Nice paid people.
can you,
See, now, who was it wrote that book about the Lilliputians? Was that Gulliver's Travels?
Yeah, I was really putting old Gulliver, John Swift,
John Swift?
Jonathan Swift.
Jonathan
is that name
Swift.
Jonathan?
In that book, there's a place in there where they had this society that went to school to get all these degrees, and education was meaningless. What was important was how many documents you had, diplomas hanging on the wall. But education was no longer a requirement, or the amount of learning was no longer a requirement. It was putting in your time and getting your diplomas on the walls. And that's what modern education has become today. You know, we're giving kids high school diplomas that can't read on a 4th, 5th grade level. So education has nothing to do with it. But boy, they got that diploma, and you hear the politicians say, it's important they get this diploma. You know,
Yeah.
not that they know anything, but they've got to have that document. And now we're giving away free 2 years college education. They call it free.
It ain't free.
You working men, us working men are going to pay for it. But they will be able to get a diploma. See, a 2-year college diploma. And they don't say anything about knowing anything about anything. No education, no training, but they'll have that paper on the wall, which will get their foot in the door over Knoxville at UT
Well, you know,
or LMU or somewhere.
I knew we were in trouble when they nominated Timothy Geithner as what was the,
Treasurer Secretary.
the Treasury Secretary, and he admitted that he could not even fill out his own taxes.
And him with all kinds of diplomas on the wall.
Oh, yeah. All
In
we
the
had to
area
do,
which-
all we had to do is just make a copy out of the diploma and attach it to his income tax return.
There you go.
I mean, I knew we were in trouble, man, couldn't even do his own tax return, and then he blamed it on TurboTax, that, they ended something wrong and he owed $45,000 more than what he paid.
You guys worked harder to get your PhDs from Western Australia than I did to get an EDS degree from LMU back in 2005 and 6. I was ashamed that how little I had to do. Basically, all I had to do was pay for it.
That's all we done, and we didn't pay them.
So I'm the dupe, but I got that diploma hanging on the wall.
Yeah, you paid yours.
Well, it's gonna be interesting to see what comes down the pipe, as far as, this county is concerned. You know, you got William Baird running again, and there's a big sign down there on Jacksboro Pike that says, "Re-elect William Baird." And I want so much on what they do to me, put a little sign up above that says, "Why?"
I was just thinking that. That's a good question.
Wow.
He actually has put up a sign.
Why re-elect William
I
Baird?
heard somebody who drove around looking for his signs and could only find 2. Now, I heard a famous man say that if this upcoming election is going to be dishonest, you know, he's got all his people in the right place. You know, Ann Ayers in election office. He's got Jim Dial, David Young. You know, David Young working out of his own office. We got Jim Dial working out of the finance office. And there's potential for doctoring those numbers when they're
If we
downloaded.
could get Jimmy
those
Carter to
voting
come up and
machines.
set in on the election, we could get this thing done right.
Well, that'd be a good point. Well, we need some UN people here is what we need.
Yeah,
You know, we
Jimmy
could probably
always goes
request
around and
them.
certifies elections.
But a famous man said that if William Beard thinks he's got this sewed up, he won't be spending any money on this election. And from the look of the signs, he ain't spending much money.
You know, whenever, there's all sorts of things. I'll go back to what, Aunt Hester had something in the paper. She had a platform that she would run. And one of the things that she stated that she would have an complete, total audit of Jacksboro, of the court, all the whatever.
All the offices.
Okay, now there's if you listen,
And at least we know she tried. Seems to be a family tradition.
people like these politicians, whenever they go to talk, if you'll listen to them, they'll tell you a ton of stuff that they don't intend to tell you. But William Beard, when he ran for office the last time, he made a statement. The question was brought up, something about hiring an industrial headhunter. Somebody's going to go out and handcuff these big companies and bring them in here. Well, he made a statement stating that we didn't need one, that we already had some type of a company that promoted the county. Okay, I caught the name, and the name, it's a company that's, or it's a, I don't know what you want to call it, a company, a corporate, or a partnership, or whatever, but it's located in Executive Park Suite in Knoxville. And I called the number, I've tried every way in the world to trace this thing down. And you can't talk to nobody. There's no way that you get a hold of anybody. It's all machines.
Well, there's a rumor out now that he's hired a
wait just a minute. Let me finish this
another
up.
one.
Now, this company came here, or this organization, whatever, came here when the World's Fair came in, is when they started. And they, on their list of what they promote everything from UT football to Dollywood, everything under the sun that they promote. And they had a list, but it's off website now of who they did promote. But here's what I'm getting back to.
Any idea what we pay them?
That's the question. That's what I was wanting to find out, is who pays them and what do we pay them and so forth.
We need to fire them.
Well, how can you fire them? You can't even get a hold of them. But what they started,
Sending them a check.
well, now how are you going to quit sending them a
Well, if
check?
I was wanting to write it, I could quit.
Well, now what if you're in the finance department? You're not going to quit writing a check to somebody that you write this check to regular.
I reckon I would, but some people wouldn't, but I
Some
would.
people wouldn't, but you would. But here's what I'm saying is, this county, these taxpayers out here, all of us are paying for things that we have no idea what we're paying of, and we don't even know it. It's on automatic. It's like a barrel that's got a hole in it that constantly leaks.
But they need a tax increase so they can pay more of these secret
Well,
agendas.
this is just one thing. And here in the city of La Follette, there's these traffic lights. Now, whenever the great whatever,
David G. Young,
Young, yeah, he was in,
city administrator.
yeah, and Cliff Jennings. Cliff made the statement, and I'll swear, he is just full of words of wisdom.
I've never seen a government transaction where they had to hand deliver cash on the rebate.
That's right, yeah. Anyhow, about so many thousand.
Well, I think.
Well, it was 44,000 or 40-some thousand to begin with.
They have to-
117,000.
Well, anyhow, fellas,
Restocking
well,
fee.
that's money gone. They can tell whatever story, that's money gone. But here, Jennings said that we had to replace our traffic lights because they didn't match each other. You go up here and you see one traffic light and it don't match the other one.
Can't see them both the same time.
Well, who in the, you know what, ever looked at a traffic light other than to see which light was red, green, or yellow? I mean, if it ain't.
They match that way, don't they? Go in the same place.
Well, they got the red on the top and
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, some of them have red on top, yellow in the middle, and
But-
green on the bottom.
But
They
they need
But
that.
whoever looks at, this is what I'm
They
talking
need to
about.
charge the utility company needs to charge a $5 monthly utility fee to go around and paint the traffic lights the same
Well,
color,
what-
the way they do fire hydrants.
Well,
We have a fire hydrant maintenance fee,
But what-
and I think they painted one in the last 10 years.
What I'm trying to say is the comments that our politicians make to us, they think we're so stupid that we can't understand. Like I say, we gotta be protected from ourselves. But along with these traffic lights, there's another thing out there that nobody ever hears about. There's a maintenance contract with these traffic lights. And you don't ever hear this discussed, but if you could ever get it brought up, the city is paying some company in Knoxville to maintain these traffic lights. Now, at one
How
time,
about we got a street department?
we did at one time.
What do you do to maintain a traffic light? Change the bulb every now
Well,
and then?
Clean the screen.
When we
Clean
went,
the,
What, does the city not have the capability, they don't have any
No.
Windex?
no,
And a rag?
It takes a special kind of Windex, it takes traffic light Windex.
Fellas, when we went
And
high,
that company won't share it with anybody.
You need somebody out there in the middle of the street saying, give me a dime.
well, fellas, when we went high tech, the purpose, strict purpose,
Have you ever seen anybody maintain these lights?
well,
I've never seen anybody
Well,
put
they
a
used to be-
ladder
they used-
underneath the light,
There
do
used to be
anything to
there
it.
used to be a trucking company with a few local connections that required an extensive traffic light maintenance every time they drive through, they'd have to put in a new traffic light.
well, gentlemen, it would be good to know what we're paying for this maintenance contract.
It would.
Now, there was all sorts of lies told about these traffic lights. First of all, well, whatever, they was gonna give a traffic light away or something else, but here, these traffic lights that we had before the big hundreds of thousands of dollars in traffic lights had LED bulbs in them. Them bulbs are, they're expensive, they're gonna run $100 to $2 a piece for a bulb. But yet, whenever the company, and I don't know who owns them, see, the city is paying for a contract to have them maintained, but here's what I'm getting to. Whenever, the reason the traffic lights were changed had nothing to do with the fact of one matching the other, because nobody ever looks at a traffic light other than the color. But this was done to put traffic cameras in. That's why all you got a box at each traffic light to do the cameras. And that's what it was put in for.
Well, it just makes me wonder how we could get my back in his bus driver's uniform to direct traffic downtown. But we've got one thing here we need to do, so I put this stuff up, but I think you'll appreciate this when I get you going here. Can't get it going. Let's see if I've got it going here. Oh, maybe I do, maybe I don't.
Well, we've been in business here for 75 years. I've had 40 years experience in the ambulance service. We have a Class A ambulance service.
Almost 22 employees.
22 employees that we pay for all on our own.
That's how much taxpayer money goes into this operation.
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
We do all kinds of ambulance service. We're rated by the state as a Class A service. We can haul any kind of patients. We can go anywhere. We do a lot of non-emergency transports, nursing home, hospitals, doctor's offices. We go anywhere that patients want to go. We appreciate the opportunity to serve each and every one of our patients. Any kind of insurance you have, we're qualified to take it.
If you need medical transport, that's an ambulance, then call the company that does not require taxpayer money. They either please you or they go out of business. Call Vital Care at 562-9370. And if you can't remember that, just call 911 and tell them you want Vital Care. Works every time. It work, Bob?
Yeah, well,
Does it work? Does Vital Care work?
I'm living proof that it works.
Don't blame them folks.
Yeah, don't blame Vital Care.
Hey, you know, one more thing, by the way, I don't do many of my own commercials, but I sell roofing metal, and I am the only purveyor of roofing material in this county, I think, that will sell you roofing, metal roofing, with a 40-year warranty, and actually give you a labor coverage in case something screws up. So call me, 562-2676, and thank you.
What about money?
Yeah,
Hey,
it's radio station.
Yeah,
Oh, what's the month?
what day is it?
7th.
yeah, all day long.
Wasn't them that thing for the kids today down there at Grace Rehab?
Think so?
What time?
I don't know.
They're giving rabies shots down at
Yeah,
City Park.
I went by and got mine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
You could get misled around this place.
without getting them, they charge.
You know, misled's really just another way of saying misled. I think we misled that guy.
Yeah, you know, I was just thinking, you know, we could talk a little bit about the Normandy invasion when we opened up. I'm the only one here that remembers when that took place.
I
And I
remember
listened
that.
to-
I
I
remember
listened
that,
to
Bob. just like I was born in
I listened to-
1943. I remember that just like it was
Yeah,
yesterday.
but I knew what I was listening to. I listened to it on the shortwave band radio. Hey, what about Ronnie?
Yeah, but it just took down what's the deal on the camera light talking about?
The traffic lights were originally changed so that they would accommodate cameras. And that was the reason that we spent all this money on traffic lights. And when it come up for a vote, the city council they was all for it except for, one guy, Ken Snodderly, voted against it. Had he not voted against it, Cliff Jennings and, your pharmacist out here, Bannon, all these guys, you'd have had the traffic light cameras if Ken hadn't voted against it.
Yeah.
And everything is there in place right now, but you're not gonna hear anything from it now because of all the uproar that has come about.
Yeah,
But-
so we don't need that jacking.
Well, this,
For trees and they raise more cane and had a lot of problems out of it, they took them out.
well, it's not right.
So
The-
they over there, in Oak Ridge, they said, that, most of the people argued it was unconstitutional, because they couldn't make you pay the fine,
Well-
you can pay it if you wanted to, but you didn't have to, so.
Well, I felt, in my opinion, that this thing was a scam from the day one, and that the people who promoted it, in my opinion, I can't prove it, but it would be my opinion that they get a kickback on it called a consulting fee, would be what I would think. Because the city definitely wasn't gonna get nothing to amount to anything, and the taxpayer was gonna pay dearly. And when I say taxpayer, I'm talking about the drivers who get caught with the stupid things.
Yeah, they don't need that junk in here, cause, first of all, we don't have the right roads, we need four lane over on the mountain somewhere, we should have for years ago,
Well, you're right. Well,
off the main road,
the other route would have been better, I think, if they'd have went the southern route around through Demery and come in at Vasper.
Yeah,
You'd have cut 11 roads that way. You would have 11 intersections,
you got it, that's true.
and each of these intersections would be a fine place for any kind of ma and pa business, and also the property that ran up against these roads would be, it'd be highway front property.
Yeah, a lot more.
There ain't no good places for mom and pop to start business.
Well, anyhow.
But there's many people who lived up the valley and all that, it's congested, the road all the time, a lot of people won't get out and go shopping, because of it.
Well, I can understand what you're saying, and it would definitely help, but I don't think we're gonna see it happen in many years, I don't believe. There's in the works, the 4-lane, the 63, and it's been on the paperwork for years. And I heard they was doing some surveying on it now, I'm not
Up the
sure.
valley?
Up the valley.
They don't need it.
Well, I know that, but you could take the money that would be invested in 4-lane and 63 from La Follette to the crossroads, take that money and invest it in a bypass, and it would be far better spent, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
nobody's even pushing for a bypass or anything.
I'd say probably 90% of people agree with you, not more on that there.
Well, I appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
The ones that don't agree are some of the ones that own property on 25.
Okay.
I wouldn't care to have a bypass myself.
Well, it would help, but like I say, that's,
Well,
maybe,
I want to refresh people's memory a little bit about the traffic light deal. David Young and Cliff Jennings decided they were gonna put new traffic lights in this town. They made the decision to do it. They went ahead and obligated.
you talk about cameras.
I'm talking about the traffic
They
lights.
decided to put the cameras in first because they had to change the traffic lights to accommodate the cameras.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, they had to get the traffic lights first because they had nothing to put the cameras on. Alright, so on the traffic light deal, they decided to go ahead with the traffic light deal that would accommodate cameras, and they went ahead and contracted it, contracted the city for $200,000.
That's correct.
Then when they bought them and they stored them in ground level containers back here in the parking
But
lot.
let me add to that.
What?
They borrowed the money to do it.
Well, we'll get to that, okay? Now,
Okay.
they obligated the city to pay for $200,000 worth of traffic lights. Then when they got around to, working on installing those traffic lights, they found out that it was the state that controlled whether or not they could put those traffic lights on.
They knew this beforehand,
Well,
Bob. They
I'm
didn't
not
discover it then. They knew it
Okay, all
before
right.
they ever started.
Well, they should have known it, I'll put
Well,
it
they
that way.
did know it.
But, if they had known it, what I'm saying is, when it came out, then the state made them have to return those, traffic signal lights, which were never returned. They were down there in the ground level thing.
Okay, now,
Yeah.
back up is they did not bid these traffic, when they bought them, they didn't
I
bid
know
them.
that, I know that. What I said, they went ahead and obligated the city. They didn't get a bid or anything, they just obligated the city to pay for those traffic lights. Then they found out they couldn't put them in, and then the state required it to be bid, and it was $200,000 worth of traffic lights were bid at $100,000. And then the state found out that there was money available, which was paid for them, and the city did not have to put out any money.
Do you guys remember green stamps?
Yep.
Used to, you go buy
CR,
something.
S and H.
Yeah, you go buy something, you got green stamps.
Yeah,
Well, they didn't give the green stamps to just anybody, they gave it to one who bought the product. That was kind of a legal kickback, so I just brought that up, I just happened to think, I don't know why I thought of that.
right. What about money?
Is this the wild dog of Ronnie Hazel Valley?
Yeah, you got it.
Hazel Valley, yeah, he's over there.
What's that?
Is Hazel Valley there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hey, did you get that email I sent you earlier today?
yeah.
Tell me find out that, I called and confirmed it, that, Urban City Mayor with the mayor, the contract to the fellow named Steve Hill, and I hope Mr. Hazel Valley can help me find out more information as to exactly who Steve Hill is. There's a page consultant out of the mayor's office to do something with the education. I'm not sure what all that's about, but I find it interesting, but I might.
Did you get my email about Steve Hill?
I have not seen, you know.
He's a big buddy of your brother and sister, Chad Faulkner and Stephanie Davis.
Oh, is he really?
It may not be the same Steve Hill,
I'm well on contact.
but he's a big buddy of Stacy Campfield, Jason Mumpower, Chad Faulkner, Stephanie Davis. I looked him up on Facebook,
Okay.
and I don't know if it's the same one or not, but he's got a financial degree from Tusculum University.
Okay.
economics?
In economics, yeah.
You know, I mean.
I didn't find anything on asbestos.
Consulting, you know, somewhere in Mountain County.
Oh, okay.
This is just another one of them deals that where the mayor tries to pass along money to some of his, Republican supporters over the years.
Well-
The Lighthouse, just like the Lighthouse did.
Well, William Beard and Jeff Marlowe seem to be able to spend all kinds of money without county commission approval. I don't know why we even bother electing the county commission. We ought to just abolish the darn thing and turn it over to Marlowe.
Yeah, well, Marlowe was running it, so I spoke to, I was at an event last night, political event, and, No Show Bailey was there, and, I asked, we got in a conversation about him changing his vote, and I guess it's his girlfriend, I'm not sure what their relationship is, but she said, you don't know what Mr. Marlowe said to him. I said, I don't need to know, all I know is he changed his vote because he can't $2 million.
That's right.
I said, it's not that simple. I said, I was saying that the audience, people said that. I said, what he said to him doesn't matter to me.
That's right.
I said, all I know is that he had to change his vote, that issue was there, and somebody was gonna have to explain why those solar panels were already on the scope.
Well, now, if you didn't know what Marlowe said, somebody knows what he said, and the person that did know was there and could have told you what he said. Is
No,
that,
and he wouldn't even talk about it. She was doing all the talking.
okay?
She mentioned that they're probably gonna sue everybody they can think of for slandering him over this DUI arrest.
Good luck.
Yeah.
They slandered him and basically said he wasn't drunk, he hit his head is like that, felt surprised head. And that, they talked bad about him, they said things bad about him, and he didn't deserve all that, that he was a fine fella, he wasn't drunk, and he was collecting cans, she said, that was what it was, that he recycled, that's why he had all his cans in the back.
Well, how come they were all beer cans and all the same, label?
She said there were Coke cans back there too, they just didn't mention that. No,
But 23 beer cans and all of the same label.
yeah.
You know, whiskey and
Yeah,
go,
they're gonna sue everybody.
gin and go, rum and go.
All everybody else's fault, it wasn't none of his fault, he said it was everybody else's fault.
Well, if anybody knows what was said, it'd be interesting to know what Marlowe did say to him, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, I asked the question and I couldn't get that. She said, well, you just don't know what he said. I said, well, I said, really, it doesn't matter. I said, all I know is he changed his vote, and it's his vote alone, cost the county $2 million. So, but, we'll get the information out about this hired consultant, the mayor's stuff. That's ridiculous, but that's going on.
Well, I did a little research on it.
Let's hear from you.
Okay, thank you, fellas.
There you.
Is he referring to the same things as what I was referring to, or a different one?
No, there's a Steve Hill that,
Okay.
he is
I got
hired to look, see, there's been a $750,000 lawsuit filed against the county on this asbestos situation. You know, they've been trying to cover up this, the fact that, the annex and the old courthouse are full of asbestos. And there was a lawsuit filed, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago about it, but that was settled out of court and covered up. But now there's, better media in the community, and, the $750,000 lawsuit has, become quite, popular. And, so, according to Jerry there, he's, filed or hired somebody to look into the asbestos situation and what they might be facing. A consultant, I guess, to find out how many people have died in the last 20 years.
Well, I know what a guy ought to do, he ought to get interns on the thing and light it. You don't think that'd be the best way to get out of it? I mean, by gosh, we can't have all this liability hanging over our heads. That's a joke, folks.
Yeah, mercy. Well, fellas, there's plenty out here to talk about. It seems like that there's plenty going on that we don't know nothing about.
What gets me is we still got the issues we talked about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. They keep piling on. They're like football players. After you tackle the guy, that ain't enough. They keep doing something else.
Well, fellas,
It's just one more thing right after another.
if future behavior is tied anyway to past behavior or past conduct, you look at the people right now that we're fixing to deal with and fixing to put back into office, and look at their conduct over the several years, their conduct has not changed, in my opinion.
Well, look at all the felonies they've committed.
Well,
That's qualifications.
That's qualifications for
You
election.
better be looking how much they're gonna raise your taxes. Anybody out there that owns property and ain't questioning their county commissioners is dumb.
And anybody that's got 23 and a half empty beer cans in his truck ain't drunk.
well, now, we make jokes about this stuff, but we're gonna pay dearly, like what
We're
Ronnie's
paying
saying.
dearly
We're
already.
already paying.
Yeah,
But when this tax thing comes
it's
in,
gonna get worse.
there's gonna be people, and it's happening right now, people can't afford to pay their taxes. And the county is taking their property. I mean, there's a list of them in the
Folks,
paper.
please don't forget that Cliff Jennings and David G. Young gave us the largest tax increase in the history of the city of La Follette. A 67%, almost double our property taxes.
And
Do we want these people to hold any office, elected office at all.
And when we run out of money, at least we know they tried.
Right.
You know, Margaret Thatcher said, what are you gonna do when you run out, when you depend on other people's money and they run out? You take it all, they got no more. What are you gonna do then, Cliff? What are you gonna do then, David? What are you gonna do then, Jeff Marlowe?
The signs messing up.
Well, they probably could start selling a little pot on the side, or they could probably open up a gambling operation. Well, yeah, they probably.
You know,
Or like,
sometimes it works and sometimes
or
it
like
don't.
Ron Edmonds' wife said, sell drugs out of one end of the city hall and have prostitution at the other end.
Right.
Well, the big break-in, that
As long
thing
as
kinda
they
went
get
away,
it, as
didn't
long as they get it in the right end, I guess I'd be careful about getting it in the right
it? The
end.
break-in at the city hall.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, everybody forgot about the break-in.
I know there's so much that happens, it's hard to,
This place is just Comedy Central, and we're paying the bill. And
That's
the-
like our
the worst
philosopher
part-
said,
The worst
we're
part
having to
about
pay
it,
our bills and their bills.
this the first part about it is yours loony and the ticks are the smartest people in the room. Oh, the lunatics, sure, they think we're crazy.
Well, let me
We are, we're paying the bills for them
I
people.
hate to get the word to okay, Bob Almighty.
Yeah, they talk about William Good, I think they need to get a hostage daycare, maybe let him sit on it for about 8 years, see if he can hatch it out, maybe at least we can sell him hostages, you know? And in actually, been sitting on there, he never, nothing happened to him. So that's the comment today with me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, William couldn't hatch his own eggs.
Right. Tell you,
We've had enough training sitting.
Yeah.
what I was gonna tell you, you got some people running for government office. And I've never seen the like of people that run, they're up here. I'm sick of one that's tried to go in business 4 or 5 times and has failed on every business venture they have made. Now they're running, for county commissioner. You've got, David Young. David Young tried it in the, construction industry. The man come by, my store and said that he had done some work for him and it was not satisfactory at all. And he wasn't gonna pay him until he straightened it out. He kept coming by and eventually he came by with a gun on his hip and demanded his money. Now, he went out of, construction business, then he went into, the mobile home business. And he put that company completely out of business. Then he went into the satellite business and completely ruined that business also. Then he went into city government.
You left out
county government.
cable television.
And
He run the city while he was there.
he went into county government and
And he's running the county. Him
got
and Jeff.
hauled out of the county courthouse in handcuffs. And then he has come back again and he's bound and determined he's gonna run this county. And that's,
I think he's a fine man, does a good job at everything he attempts. We mean nothing here except a promotion of Mr. Young. We appreciate his service to the community and all the good things he's ever done for us.
right.
Folks, this is becoming Comedy
wait a minute,
Central.
go ahead and tell us, what do y'all know those things?
Well, don't be too
But
hard,
that-
don't be too hard on the
There's
guy.
Well,
There's
that
no-
leaves 3 of us that'll get sued.
There's no business here, and these people.
That's what I thought too.
These people who will not bring business here, they realize their only hope to make a living is to get in the government.
Well, you get to thinking about how many people.
Yeah, they
depend-
want us to pay their bills as well as their own.
Right, yeah,
I think it's just
They
a
drive a
matter,
new car and we're all driving
Right.
something built last century.
right.
I think it's just a matter of time before we get cut off, you're intentionally or unintentionally.
Now, fellas,
Well, that's a great show, guys.
We're not going-
Wild Ball Ron, y'all are great.
we're not gonna change things until we change the rules which state in some manner that we can hold elected officials accountable.
Accountable.
And
They
quit
got-
guaranteeing them everything under the sun. Whenever they get that vote passed or whenever they get elected, they're guaranteed untold amounts of things. They don't even have to show up for meetings.